I'm Jeremy and welcome back to my garage. This is a 64 Impala wagon that I am working on, and since I bought it a few weeks ago, I've wanted to install this tailgate that came with it, but I can't because, well, let me just show you. Now this is a tailgate hinge. You'll notice there's still 3 tailgate hinge bolts in it. Now that's a problem because somebody cut the old tailgate off of this car, presumably because they couldn't get these bolts out. These bolts have probably been in there since 1964 when this car was new, and there's not much left of them. So pulling them out with a ratchet is not gonna happen. Now let's cruise over to the other side. You'll see this one has 2 out of 3 bolts, so somebody saved us from that one. Although it looks like the threads are missing, so that's good. This one has been cut into, so that's not a good sign. And yeah, we now have to pull out these 5 rusty bolts so that we can get the tailgate on. And it's gonna be a lot of fun because we get to use the welder. So here's my plan of attack. What we have here is some rusty bolts. And what we have up here are some new nuts. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weld the nut to the bolt once I clean off the rust a little bit. And then I'm gonna get this plate till it's cherry red. And then I'm gonna turn the nut and the bolts are just gonna come right out. Nothing could possibly go wrong, am I right? You might not believe this, but it's out. It actually just spun out, so that worked out well. So for the next one, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a bolt and I'm gonna weld a bolt to it. And I think that that will actually allow me to get a little bit better penetration all the way around, because normally when you weld a nut, you're welding down the center of the nut, and it's just kind of tough to do with a TIG welder, which is what I'm using at the moment. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna weld this to that, and then again, we're gonna heat it up until it's cherry red on the bottom, and we're just gonna spin that bad boy right out of there. Let's get going. How are we feeling about this? We thinking it's good? All right, let's get some torches on it. We'll get it red. We'll spin it out. I don't want to jinx us, but we are currently 2 for 5. And on this one, we're 2 for 3. So things are looking pretty good. I'm going to do this one the same way, welding a bolt to that, because I think that actually worked pretty good. I was able to weld almost all the way around it. And really, I could have welded all the way around it, but I was getting a little lazy. So I welded, most of the way around it, and then grabbed the bottom with some vice grips so that I was grabbing below the weld and above the weld. That way it gave me maximum spinniness there. All right, so let's weld another one and see if we can get this last bolt out. Okay, so this is pretty hot. So the 3rd bolt just came out, which is totally awesome. And one thing that I didn't realize was this is actually a washer on here. So the bolt actually is a bolt with a washer, which I'm grabbing it with these because it's 10 billion degrees. All right, so we got all 3 bolts out. So now, I don't actually know what all this stuff is. I think it's part of the old tailgate. And obviously we're not gonna need that anymore because we have a tailgate that is all together and not rotted out. So I think what we need to do next is we need to run a tap through those to make sure that they are the right size. But before we do that, let's move on to the next side and we'll try and get the 2 rusted bolts out of that side too. And then we'll do the tap and then we'll find some bolts. Then we'll throw the tailgate. Click, 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 click. Hot, hot. Zim, 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 zim. Sweet success. So as you can see, we got both of those bolts out. So now what we can do is we can run a tap through those 3 holes and the ones on the other side. Yeah, that's hot. That's hot. So you can run a tap through those, clean them up. We'll find some new bolts to use, and then maybe we'll just ease the tailgate on there and throw a couple bolts in it, and we'll see what it looks like. I've now just found a bolt that threads into one of these holes, and it is a 5/16 18 pitch hole. So I am now going to run this tap through the holes on both sides, probably use a little lubricant in the process, and then I think I'm gonna find some bolts. Hopefully I have some. Look, I'll have to look through my bolt baskets. And if I have some bolts, then we should be able to get this tailgate on. So let's clean out some holes. We have now threaded the holes. Well, didn't really thread them, but we chased the holes with a tap. And we are ready to test fit the tailgate. This is exciting. I also found some bolts. These are not quality bolts. These are probably gonna snap off as soon as I tighten them, but they are bolts with the right thread pitch and the right size. So we are going to use these bolts temporarily until we get something better. Let's try and lift this million-pound tailgate by myself onto this while putting some bolts in. This is gonna be fun. So yeah, let's see how it goes. I think I need to show you what we're working with here. Here's the deal. The tailgate is bolted on the bottom. First step, looking good. There are a few problems though. Let's open it up. So first of all, it weighs 69 million pounds, at least, maybe more. It looks like we have to get this thing onto these bolts, but I don't have bolts for there, and I didn't realize that. So I had to steal one from up here, and I don't actually know if it's the right size. So let's see. Gosh, I hope it's the right size, because that would be good. Oh, okay, great. So it's the right size. Okay, so the second problem is this thing. Now this thing appears to be like a tension spring, and this tension spring is all the way down the length of the tailgate. And I think I need to set it properly, because I think down at that end, inside the tailgate, it's in the wrong spot. I need to figure out how that works. And then I need to reset it to the right spot, then take this rusty Phillips head out, and then somehow get this into that, which don't know how to do. Okay, I'm gonna mess with this for just a minute, and we're gonna see what happens next. I have now got this thing off, and this thing basically holds this tension rod in place. It's sort of like a trunk hinge spring. So like when you pop a old Impala trunk or, you know, old car trunk, they have like tension rods in them that take the pressure off and take the weight off so it doesn't feel so heavy. And that's what this is. And normally it bolts right in here with this little device here. But the bolts in it were completely junk. As you can see, I took them out with my awesome tool that I used in the last video. Check it out if you haven't. And yeah, in the process, destroyed one of the nuts that was holding it in. And yeah, so now I need some new screws or bolts or something to hold that in. And now I think we're ready to put the tailgate up, but the one thing I wanted to double check before I push it closed is to make sure that these things are doing what they're supposed to do. And right now it feels like it's probably open, which is, so yeah, something is sticking. So let's see what this one does. Okay, this one is stuck. So I'm gonna work this back and forth with some lubricant and see if I can get this one to spin before I smash this thing closed and then can never get it open again. Let's do that, and then we should be ready to actually close the tailgate for the first time. All right, here it goes. First time. Okay, something's happening. Okay, I think it might be a tailgate alignment issue. So let's loosen up the bolts, and then maybe it'll close. There we go. This is the manual window regulator. So this is how you roll over. Might have just broke it. Yeah, pretty sure I just broke it. So this is how you would roll up and down the window if I didn't just break it, which I did. All right, so the next question is, will the tailgate open back up? First, let's see if it latched. It did not. We're gonna have to fix those latches. It's probably the same problem that I had with the doors in a previous video, where the latch mechanism is just stuck. So we'll have to take that apart and figure it out. That is pretty good though. So that was pretty successful. We got 5 rusty bolts out. They didn't even have heads on them anymore, and they were all rusted in there since probably 1964. So that's pretty successful. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe, maybe leave a comment, tell your friends, and we will see you on the next one. All right, you're not gonna believe what I just found in my bucket of stuff that I pulled out of the trunk. It's a bag that says 64 Chevy Wagon Tailgate. And it's got the bolts in it that I was missing for the hinges on the side. How awesome is that? I'll throw them on.